The Patrick Schulte. This Scott Gallagher product under TK, basketballer from Howell North, SLU Billikin under Coach Kalish, and Generation Adidas draft pick for Columbus Crew that proceeded to win an MLS Cup with them last season, he's hitting his stride. So much so, he's turned enough heads to impress new national team head coach Mauricio Pochettino and is now fighting to rep our country at the 2026 World Cup. We talk about his path, his drive, beating grandma at cards, and how he can't go anywhere without bumping into friends and peers from the Lou. Bottom line, the kid is an ace. Enjoy the show and be sure to send it to a friend. Let's go.
Oh,
Hello, people.
like the horn section.
You like that?
Yeah,
Is this the intro to Queen of the South?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what it is. No,
I love that show.
this is
Queen of the South.
Oh my God, it's great.
I don't even know what that is.
It's phenomenal. Watch it.
what's it on? Which platform?
I don't know which platform it is, but it's about a drug cartel leader, and it's 4 or 5 seasons. It's great.
Is it TVMA or?
Yes.
I know why you watch it.
I mean, I wouldn't say like MA for like nudity. It's more like a violent.
Why did you
situation.
think I was talking about nudity?
I don't know.
I was talking about the violence, dude.
Violent
Drug use.
adult content.
Adult content.
No, I'm. The other day was my dad's birthday. His actual birthday. Obviously, he's in heaven now. So I decided to play a little bit of my brother's music, who's probably playing for him. So a little Dana Michael Anderson, Bottles. Go check it out on Spotify. We'd appreciate it. Soccer Dad Pod, we're back. We're on a run now. We're kind of getting back in the group. Kind of like, you know, when you're back in the playing days, you go through that little bit of a break. You're playing well, and then you take a break. It could be like a week. Could even be just like a couple of days. Then you step back on the field, and you're like, man, the shoes just don't fit the same, not quite right, and you got to work your way back into it. I feel like we're working our way back into it.
Yeah, I think Man City's working their way back into it as well.
No, I see what you
Tottenham
did there.
has not.
Have they ever? Were they ever
Hey.
in it?
Well, they were in the top 6 last year. They're not in the top 10 this year. So, there's that.
There's that.
And Man City's going to the playoffs in Champions League.
Yeah. Whatever. Let's move on. Next. Soccer Dad Pod, you guys have been killing it as far as supporters go. I'm a nerd on numbers, and I'm just kind of I'm so honored to watch the chart go in the right direction. So really appreciate it. If I could, I'm going to ask again, if you don't mind, just jump over there to Spotify or YouTube or Apple and write a little review. Those reviews are, I'm finding out they're actually pretty important. So we would appreciate it. Like I said, we've been on a run here, banging out a bunch of episodes. Talked to a few people that are like, "Oh my God, having a hard time getting caught up." Well, guess what? Here comes more. It's going to get harder, but they're all great guests. Last guest was Andy Fleming, J. Rod, and I quarterbacked that one. Andy is a Boston native, now living in the Queen City over in Cincy. Kind of took his path through playing into coaching, at the Division I level, turned around an abysmal program at Xavier, turned them into national contenders in a handful of years, and then transferred out of there into more of a camp and recruiting servicer. So it was just a really great conversation that brought up a lot of current issues that all of us parents with kids that are wanting to play at the next level talked about a lot about that, and kind of what's going on in the landscape. So go check it out. I want to get right into some of our talking points because our guest is, you've already read your dash. You see who's coming on. We're here on Zoom recording this now, and so the video version of this will be on our YouTube page. Real easy. Go to YouTube, Google search or YouTube search Soccer Dad Pod, and you'll find us there. Give that a subscribe as well. But we're going to jump right into here because as soon as he comes on, we're going to get started. So without further ado, Zach, you look like you're kind of a little bit prepared today. You got a little session point of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I teased it a second ago, but Man City is moving on to Champions League. They were
Okay, great.
Field of 8 today.
Jared, what'd you bring?
And a lot of games today. And if you're a fan of European football, today was a great day to watch. But our boy Christian Pulisic scored in a loss today for AC Milan. They are out, as far as I know. But Champions League is just a fun tournament inside the season for these European clubs, and I love it. So that was my only point today.
Okay. Well,
Well
quick,
done.
very efficient.
Yeah.
Jared, what kind of on this day back in '82 do you have for me?
I don't have one, but I want to bring up, and I wonder if you guys saw, because it was kind of on national news today, and it's relative to our episode today with a Billikin coming in and sharing his time with us. VCU played at Chaffetz last night in a pivotal conference match. SLU gets the win. Big win for them.
We're talking college basketball.
We're talking about college basketball. But in the last 2 minutes of the game, a fight erupted in the stands. And it's all over the internet. And there were some pretty funny takes. Barstool had a good take on it. But it looks like to me that there was a player that played for VCU who started his career at SLU, not on scholarship, transferred to Southeast, became an all-conference player, and then transferred to VCU. It looks like to me the family and maybe some SLU fans were going back and forth talking trash, but just an interesting watch. Somebody pull it up. Did you see it?
I saw the headline. I didn't click on the article or watch the video, but I heard about it.
Yeah, interesting. Career crowd fights. How bad was it? I mean, was it?
Dude, there was an old dude that was bloodied up.
Oh my God. Well, it's funny you mentioned Barstool in that. I'm a Portnoy fan, primarily from the One Bite Everybody Knows the Rule landscape. I get all the other shit that he's built out in the fandom and the growth of Barstool in general. But the other day, I was really kind of like, he got me thinking, and he made a joke. He long story short, he put $500,000 on this incredible new currency called Trump crypto.
Yeah.
That popped up to 1.5. He sold it. He told everybody about making $1 million on it. He took the $1 million. He turned around. He put it on a bet on the Bills to win it all. And we all know what happened there because they hit the Chiefos. So here's where I'm going with it. I've been paying attention to the hatred towards the Chief in the NFL here recently. I mean, it's not new. It's just really, really accelerating thanks to a handful of what many believe are questionable calls. And I want to get your guys' take on that because I don't really care about the NFL anymore. I have a thing against Kansas City in general. So I think just by default, I don't like the Chiefs, not because of Mahomes or Taylor or any of that shit, just because they're in Kansas City.
And their owner voted to move our team.
Yeah. So here's my question to you. Do the Chiefs deserve kind of the new Patriots wrath of the rest of the nation based on the zebras, based on the pop aspects of the whole thing?
Well, most people that know me know that the NFL can fall off a cliff, and I don't really think I'd lose sleep because they've taken two teams away from us in our lifetime. That being said, I don't think the Chiefs have risen to the level of villainy that the Patriots did for a couple of reasons. One, there isn't a Darth Vader-like creature lurking their sidelines like Belichick did. Number one. Number two, they haven't been accused of actually cheating. They've been accused of being favored by the refs, but nobody has accused the Chiefs of actually stealing anything or
Deflating footballs
or any of that stuff. So I don't think it's to that level. They're just good. I mean, I watched that Bills and Chiefs game almost entirely just to see if they get favorable calls. And there was only one controversial call in the whole game, really.
Well, the catch, the marks. There
was one that was about marking, which in football is very difficult to do anyway. And I don't know if you could really overturn that one way or the other. So I'm not going to get into the X's and O's of it. Yeah. But I just think there wasn't like blatant
Well, let me ask Jared you the question directly. State of Missouri, there's two cities that matter. There's ours, and then there's the other one.
Wentzville.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Based on that fact alone, does Kansas City deserve any love, any fandom from those of us in the 314-636?
No, absolutely not. If you're a fan in St. Louis of Kansas City, if you were a fan of them before the Rams left, I almost give you a pass. But do not jump on the bandwagon. Their owner voted to move us. Their barbecue lacks flavor. The one thing that I will say is Patrick Mahomes is good, and you can't take that away from him. And to my knowledge, to date, he hasn't been an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too.
I don't hate the Chiefs because of their winning. I hate the Chiefs because I hate the Chiefs because we don't have the Rams.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of
enough
how
said
I
for
feel.
me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't hate them for any particular reason other than that they're part of the NFL and they represent it.
So let's take it a step further, because at the time of this recording, which will be the week prior to the Super Bowl, Chiefs-Eagles.
Well, first of all, did you hear? I mean, we're talking about fans with VCU and SLU. There was an Eagles fan that, 18 years old, who he died.
I'm not laughing at the death, but I mean he
he climbed
play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I get it, but like, man, it's just
F around and find out.
that, and just why
We're talking about the kid that climbed the
he climbed a light pole and then fell, and he died of his injuries today, and it's just sad. But man, why? I like my teams, but I'm not jumping up and down or on poles.
Well, you guys heard the ding there. Looks like our illustrious guest, and there he is. How you doing, buddy?
How are you guys?
Very well.
Mr. Schulte, thanks for joining us. We were just waxing poetic on the mandatory nature of all St. Louisans to hate Kansas City, all things Kansas City, especially the Chiefs come Super Bowl. So go ahead and give us your take on why you think the Chiefs should lose the Super Bowl. We'll start there.
It's a intro. Yeah, I mean, for me, as a diehard Rams fan, they voted the Rams to get up and leave.
Bing.
So can't support that. Obviously, don't support the Rams anymore, and all the fake fans just went and joined them. So, yeah, that's why they can't win.
Was he listening? That's the verbatim of what I said.
I know. He must have like time traveling
This
skills.
is crazy.
Because that's literally what we
Or you guys all read the same stuff.
Or he's just stating the truth of what happened.
And-
Yeah,
Right,
he
yeah.
could be as smart as the two of
Jared.
us over
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
I like it.
Hey, Patrick Schulte, number one, thank you for joining us, man. We are really excited to have this conversation today. You're familiar with the show. I mean, I know a lot of people. TK in particular was a little bit of the facilitator here. We are, at the time of this recording, your episode is going to be beyond the number 200. And prior to your episode, some of the names, you've seen them from Altros through Brad and Tritt and on and on and on. And when we were talking the other day about you coming on, there was a sense of enthusiasm, because it's like, we are so proud of this town and what soccer means to it and the people that have played it. And we always look to kind of that continuing lineage, and you're right at the top of the pile, man. And I just want to put that out there first and congratulate you on your trajectory and where you sit right now. And again, thank you for joining us. So, feel free to say whatever you'd like to say to us.
Yeah, no, obviously, thank you. Glad to be on. I'm glad to set this up, and congrats for you guys. 200 podcasts that's not easy. So congratulations.
Well, it's not easy working with these guys. So real quick, this is a PSA. You guys didn't know I'm doing this. Patrick can see us. The audience can't. I'm Zach. I'm pointing to you. Jared, and...
Yeah, JB.
Yeah, and you're JB. It's been a while since we called that out. So just for your knowledge, Patrick, Zach, Jared, and JB.
Yeah.
And
So the smart one is in the green, the funny one is in the gray, and the tired one is me. So go ahead, Zach.
no, but it's been
Kick it off.
it's been a long time coming for us to get a chance to talk to you, Patrick, and we've all been following your career since, well, for 5+ years since you left the academy here at Gallagher. And we have some mutual friends we can talk about offline, but my first question to you is I don't know if we've asked this before, but growing up in St. Louis, playing for Gallagher, playing at SLU, and then getting, picked up by the Crew, was it ever difficult as a St. Louis person to play for a team that's not in St. Louis? I'm just really curious, like how that was. There ever a psychological war that you had to go through to get to the point where, like, no, I can root for a team here in Columbus, and do you have to be a Jackets fan, or do you can still be a Blues fan?
No, of course, a Blues fan.
Okay, good.
First and foremost, St. Louis it's in my roots, but no, it was tough. Just because it was my first time ever leaving St. Louis. Obviously grew up there, went to college there, and this was like my first ever move on my own, away from all my family and friends, because I have a bunch of extended family as well that lives in St. Louis. So, I never really left, and there was no need to leave. So this was really like the first time just on my own, out in the real world. And so I think that was, for me, the hardest part. Was just kind of getting used to just being on my own. Families, hanging out, friends hanging out. Or usually I'm always there because, after practice or after school, or, going to a home over the weekend when I was down at SLU. So, yeah, I think that was the hardest part for sure. But to be honest, the city is very similar to St. Louis in a way. And it's close enough where my parents were able to still come up for games on the weekend, and family members and friends did the same. So that really helped once the season kind of got going. But, yeah, I think the first couple months it was a struggle, just trying to get used to it all. Then, but like I said, this city, like Columbus, has really, really taken me in. So it's been good. Now it's, basically a second home for me.
Love it.
Wow. So I kind of want to start. We've had TK, and I know you're very close to him on the show, and we've talked about you off the air and on the air in his episode. And I'd like to hear it from you. You started at, just let's go back to Francis Howell. 3 years varsity basketball, and then also playing at the highest level our youth level had to offer at those times. Can you talk about those times specifically, and what playing basketball and being a multi-sport athlete at Francis Howell meant for you and your family?
Yeah. Oof. Honestly, that I've had some good times. I think that's probably up there, playing basketball. Just one, because I love basketball, but being able to play for Francis Howell, which I think I can't speak for other high schools, but the community of the St. Charles community really rallied around us when I was there. We were pretty good as well. So I think just playing for, the community, and it's a smaller community than, when you're playing for the whole city of Columbus, right? You're in St. Charles, it's everyone knows everyone there. And so you're playing for just more than yourself. So for me, that was one of the most fun rides, especially my senior year when we went to the Final Four. Just, a bunch of local kids that played other sports, just, coming together to play basketball, all of our second sports was huge. And that was super fun, but it translated for me to soccer. I thought every time I would play basketball, I would come back in that spring season, and the game of soccer would just be so much slower, just because of basketball being so fast paced, especially at the varsity level. I'd be sitting back there in goal, and I feel like I could, read the play 3 or 4 passes ahead. And then I think hand in hand, as well as, the reading the game part, it was just being an athlete. I think goalkeepers just, you want to be as athletic as possible. And that allowed me to just work on different movements and, running, jumping, cutting, or just stuff that, you don't get to do a whole lot in soccer. And so that allowed me to continue that and to grow my athleticism that way.
Patrick, I got a question, kind of a follow-up on what you're talking about. You're describing the physical attributes and that transition from your basketball season into spring season and, movement, et cetera, and all these hand-eye things that are occurring. Can you speak to maybe the mental part of it, not necessarily anticipating plays, but really more from a competitive standpoint? And I'm going to frame it in this from the standpoint of today. A lot of academies in particular are really hyper focused on player development. Team winning, in many of them will admit, is second place to player development. But what you're talking about is also, you want to win. You want to win with your boys. You want to go out there. Competing that way in basketball and then moving into soccer, how did that help you as from a mental standpoint, from a competitive standpoint?
Yeah, it was huge, honestly. Like, you don't I'd say the youth system now, you don't really get those tournament feels. And in my basketball days, you're playing you 3 tournaments a year plus districts and state, right? So if you lose, you're done. And then you're playing these local rival high schools and you have friends there. So you're wanting to compete to the highest level and beat everyone you can. And for us, we wanted to smash everyone. We didn't want anyone to say that they had a close game with us. So I think it was just that mindset of every game you go to a random Tuesday night and, an empty gym, like, you still wanted to go out there and smash whoever you were playing. And I think that's a big thing. Like, I think that kind of engraved it, the competitive nature into me was, it doesn't matter who you're going up against. It's like, you just want to win, and you want to win in convincing fashion.
Do you talk trash to your grandma when you play checkers too? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, me and my grandma, we had a lot of card games, so we played a lot of and my mom, dad, my whole family will say it gets pretty heated when we would play.
I love it. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Zach. Yeah.
I'd like to make one more comment though.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, dude.
When I played basketball, you kind of said the mental side. It also for me was a break to do something else and not just be soccer 24/7. But it was also, getting that basketball fix was, I was staying sharp, staying fit, using the athlete side, but in a totally different sport. So I feel like now you see a lot of kids that just play one sport and they get burnt out real easily. That was for me my break and my.
I want to go into that too. I mean, if you've got one teed up, go for it. But I'm just curious because we hear this a lot from American guests that we have. And, multi-sport athletes is a big deal for a lot of the different talking heads around, whether it's for mental acuity, whether it's, physical, different muscles, et cetera. But when you think about looking at your trajectory for your career, if playing in Europe or playing abroad is in the cards, the counterparts that you have over there, they're not likely playing basketball in the off season because they don't really have much of an off season. How do you answer that kind of question? That okay, so if that break is important, which I agree that it is, and we all three have boys that play, and looking forward to December when they can take a little bit of a mental and physical break. But how do you think the folks that are playing at that higher level, how do they deal with that? Or are they just the lucky few that don't have to worry about it? I'm just curious if you have any thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, luckily enough, I have friends over there that are playing at that highest level. And you guys probably know, but golf is the new fix, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the amount of people that just, do that, or they play cards or go on little trips when they can, I think and even now for me, I think that's my getaway when I can kind of do those things and just hang out with people outside the facility or outside the team, and that's your break. So I think kind of having that second option that's not as obviously demanding and physical, but it's a getaway and you just don't think about anything.
So real
Yeah.
quick then, in your Columbus crew squared. See what I did there.
was nice.
Who's your golf buddy?
It was Aiden Morris. Aiden Morris and I we'd golf at least once to twice a week, as much as we could, honestly, depending on our game schedule.
So then the tougher question is, who's better? Did you school him?
Yes, yeah, he'll admit it too. But I will say, his credit, he started playing golf like 4 years ago. But he's addicted and he's gotten a lot better. So,
Hey, Soccer Dad Pod is happy to present a new partner of the show, Choose It Right. This platform is fully integrated to help coordinate and organize your high school athletes' bio, their grades, pictures, references, highlight videos, and more. With email templates and process suggestions, Choose It Right becomes helpful in navigating the college recruiting process. Check out the link in our show notes and benefit from our special Soccer Dad Pod discount. Now, back to the pod.
so
I'd love to go back in time a little bit, maybe reset here, just so that we can kind of walk up to, your current lifestyle. I want to get back into the club days, kind of in tandem with what you were doing in high school, et cetera. And I want to, we've mentioned him a couple of times already here. Tim Kelly, was the goalie coach director over there at Gallagher while you were there. Can you speak to kind of your time frame there in your teens, rising up to your senior year, getting ready to go play college soccer? Can you talk about the environment there, the training, maybe TK's role in that process, and what it meant to you, and if there was a point in that process where you were like, I really like this and I think I can go far with it? Or was it just soccer to you? What were the club days like?
yeah, it was. They were fun. Definitely, I started as a field player, left wing, and then it was sixth grade, I believe, when I transitioned to goalie, and that's when TK kind of first started training me, and for me, it was he kept it fun and engaging, but it was always challenging. For me, I was always training with the older kids, and I think that was, I don't know if he did it on purpose or if that's just kind of how the groups went or chose, but I think for me that was kind of the start of it, was always trying to push myself to be at their level, and not at my level. And he was the same. He didn't let me slack off in any way. So I think that was kind of, the biggest thing for me that when I look back on is how much he helped me, is just the standard he held me to. And not just me, obviously the whole group, but being the young one, I couldn't slack off in any way because I was being held to the standard of, the 16-year-old when I was 14 or whatever it was.
So a quick follow-up on that then. Would you describe it as an environment in which it was maybe tough love? Was it really methodical? Did you know at the time, maybe, did you have your own internal drive where you wanted to be with the older, bigger kids? Or was it kind of all of that or was it something totally different that kind of helped you thrive in that environment?
I think it's kind of a little bit of everything. Like, obviously, the guys, the other goalies, the older ones, like, we were all really close. It could just because spending a lot of time together, carpooled with them, to and from training and stuff, just because I couldn't drive as well. So we, you built that relationship, and then, TK, like, he won the best out of everyone. So he would push you, but he would show you love at the same time. So for sure, the tough love. But for me, it kind of all just really started to click kind of in 8th grade when I was like, all right, I'm all right basketball player. Like, basketball is probably, I would say, my first love as a sport. But I was like, I'm a way better soccer player than I am a basketball player. So, like, I think this is my calling kind of thing. But if it wasn't for TK, I don't know if I would have ever found that.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Jared.
That is awesome, and kind of rounding out the timeline, and we'll come to the present day here later on. You're getting through high school, the Billikins come knocking. What did it mean for your family growing up, playing the sport that you love, and actually committing and going to that university, that storied university with all their stars on their crest? The day that you signed, was it dad? Was it mom? Was it a collective hug? Just talk about the decision going to St. Louis University and what that meant to you and your family.
Yeah, obviously, for me, it was always St. Louis. Once Kalish got the job there, I had a good relationship with Kalish and Kevin Stoll as well. Really close with Stoll. Like, basically, he's like a friend, now.
Okay, we apologize now. So
Yeah.
but no, so honestly, once Kalish got the job, I never thought about SLU until he got the job and he started recruiting me. And then I don't know why I waited so long. I think I just wanted to go on the visits and kind of do the cool things. But it was, and I never told anyone, but it was always SLU. And I remember the day I committed, Stoll called me and was like, "Hey, you said you were going to commit on this day. Kind of forgot about it." I was like, "Oh, I did put a timeline on myself." So I told Stoll, and I was like, "Just keep this. I haven't told anyone but you. Haven't even told my parents or anything." And then I went downstairs and was like, "Guys, I just committed," and my parents were floored. Like, obviously they were what? We didn't even talk about this as a family, like anything like that. Like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, like I don't want to go anywhere else. They were super happy I was close to home, for my grandparents and everyone, all family, they could come to games. But yeah, they were like questioning it, but they were obviously like super happy.
Well, and then I think we'll fast forward to 2022, which I think for our listeners, it needs to be mentioned. It was a special day in that program, a special day for your family. 2022, 6 players drafted from SLU. 4 on the first day, which I believe is the second most ever. You guys had 4: Isaiah, yourself, Kippy, and maybe Simon on the first day. Yes. Talk about that day and just the immense pride of the family, and all of your boys are all going from that team where you guys were really, really good that year before, and you guys came together and made a really good run. What did that day mean for you guys?
Oh, it was awesome. Obviously Kippy and I, being from St. Louis, right, we had, I should say for myself, my mom organized a massive party that I didn't know was going to happen. So that was sweet. But then, like, Kalish stole the whole team was able to be at Kippy's party and seeing him get drafted 5th. And then they all showed up at my house right after. So just sharing that moment with them to be able at both was pretty sweet.
Your houses must be pretty close because 5 and 12, they didn't have much. They didn't much have travel time.
Yeah, in golf terms, that's a driver 7-iron, man.
It's a good 20-minute drive, but man, them picks take forever, especially when you're in the moment. I felt like I was sitting on my couch waiting for
days.
4.
Well, let me ask you another question about that day, because going 12th, incredible number. You had to been just ecstatic. But going into the day, waking up, you had your agent. Clearly there had been conversations leading into the prospect of the draft, and then the reality of the draft. You kind of knew you were going to be drafted. So talk a little bit about, as you're sitting there, do you have cities you prefer, or are you just like, look, I don't care, I'm about to become a pro? Because it's not like you were surprised that you were picked. You were just surprised at the pick and the team, or maybe you weren't. But talk a little bit about the day and the reality that you knew you were going to become a pro soccer player.
Yeah, it was you have a little idea. Obviously waking up or even leading up to the draft, it's, my agent will tell me, these teams are reaching out. So you have, for me, especially as a goalkeeper, right, only so many teams need a goalkeeper. So many teams are going to draft a college kid, right? Mm-hmm. Since I had a Generation Adidas contract. So I was already going to be on the first team anyway. So there was a list of I think it was like 4 or 5 teams that, had an idea that I had an idea of, where I was gonna end up. But at the same time, I think 3 of the 5 all had picks before Columbus. So there was that uncertainty of, okay, this team's up. Am I going to go here? No. Okay, this team's up. Am I going to go here? No. This team's up? Oh, they traded their pick, kind of thing. So there was a lot of that throughout the draft, which I think kept me on my toes.
Yeah, and will you add in a little bit about the Generation Adidas and what that means compared to another player entering the draft? Because I don't know if everybody really understands what that means, and I think it's a pretty important piece of your story. So can you talk a little bit about the Generation Adidas and what that really means?
Yeah, so it's basically just a pre-contract before you get into the draft. So any draft pick, any league is not guaranteed a contract. So you have to go in there and fight for your contract once you're picked. But for a Generation Adidas contract, you sign it before the draft, and then whatever team you go to picks up that contract. So for myself, Kippy Keller, and Isaiah Parker, we all were granted that. And I think it's a little different now than what it was back when we got drafted, but it was only for underclassmen. Mm-hmm. So juniors and below, because the draft's technically just for seniors. But I know that's all changed now because there's different rights and different rules. As in Max Florani, the last one, he had a pre-contract as a senior, I think.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you mentioned Max's name because the question that I had in regards to just kind of this draft process, your pathway in general, when you zoom out, when all of us really via this show and just talking to other people here in the St. Louis soccer community, when you zoom out, you think about a club like Gallagher, and then you think about a program like SLU University, and you think about the national championships and the stars, and then you think about the draft and the number of players that have went literally through that path, through those exact same kits, and have landed in the pros and then beyond to the national team, et cetera. When you at any point, because now look, you have a lot of career left. Your pinnacle, we have to assume you have not reached, but let's call a spade. You went through club, you went to SLU University, you got drafted in the first round, and now you're playing with the U.S. national team. That's pretty fucking good, right? But in this path, have you ever kind of spot checked yourself and be like, oh my God, I'm part of a club that is so unique, so elite, that is the St. Louis soccer community, this pedigree. Has that ever creeped into your head and helped keep your confidence where it is, or add a certain amount of determination? What does that mean to you being part of this storied tradition?
Yeah, obviously it means a lot. But yeah, for sure, I've spot checked myself numerous amounts of times, just in enjoy the moment kind of thing. You talk to different guys, you talk to different people, and they bring up players that, did the same thing as me. And it really just kind of brings me to where my feet are. I wouldn't say as much as it is the St. Louis culture or the St. Louis, the path and wearing that jersey, but I've definitely had moments where I've been struggling, or, there's been down moments, and it's just I'm playing soccer for a living. What more?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting to do what I love for a living, and I get to do it every single day. So I think that's the biggest realization for me is what do I have to worry about? Just go out there and give it everything, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be laying in my bed, and I get to go play soccer again tomorrow. I can't ask for a better life than that.
Yeah, and kudos to you, because just going through the timeline here, the success that you're having and how you're carrying yourself is what I'm most proud of. So you get drafted and you get to Columbus, and I think we need to talk a little bit about the Columbus beginning. And I mean, right away you're on 2. You guys win the championship. You guys have had the success with the MLS Cup. Talk about what's going on at Columbus and how Wilfred's got that thing cooking, because you guys are really a North Star from an academy level and from an MLS MLS club level? Because you guys really got it cooking there in Columbus.
Yeah, I think before Wilfred even came, right? That was my first year. Wilfred came my second year. So as much as everyone gives Wilfred credit, I got to give a lot of credit to the front office as well, because they brought in the Crew 2 team that won it. They brought in all those players year one, and we're like, we're going to treat this like a true professional team. We're not going to not know what's going on here. We're not just going to like make this a glorified academy team. Like, we're going to do this like a true professional team, which the league should be. And so they brought in, a lot of college guys, a lot of guys that have been pros for, maybe 1-2 years. And they went at it, head on. And I think it showed just kind of in our results that year, and and it made the trainings and the team like super competitive, which I really enjoyed. And as being a rookie, it was kind of satisfying to be able to go into trainings every day and be pushed by everyone, no matter if you're with the first team or if you're with the second team.
Well, in that championship, didn't you play the first ever City 2 team?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I would imagine there were a couple fellas on that team that you knew. How was it to win your first ever pro championship against some of your old boys?
It was good. It was obviously like everyone here in Columbus, they know how much I love St. Louis.
That was a test.
So they were asking you if you were going to throw it. Like, are you on the take?
They were like, you shouldn't be playing in this game. You're gonna throw it. It was good. Like, obviously, AJ Palazzolo was my college roommate.
Yep.
My last year, and so it was kind of like bittersweet, playing against him and beating him. But like, it was unbelievable, and it's something I can always hold over his head now whenever I see him. So
We'll bring it up next time. AJ
AJ had a hernia. I think he would have won that game if he didn't have that hernia.
Yeah, we see AJ a lot at the city games, and he's a friend of the show, and him and his dad both have been on and spoke very highly of you as well. So I just wanted to kind of throw that little question out there, because I know that's probably a nice little feather in the cap to say to your guys there at Crew, hey, listen, I might be a homer, but I'm not throwing it for the voice. So thank you for answering that one.
So let's talk a little stars and stripes. Because for all soccer players, really, it doesn't matter what sport you play. When you get the call and you get the opportunity to wear your national colors and compete at the highest level, that's extremely special on a multitude of levels. And you're there right now. You're part of the equation. You're in the numbers, right? And you've been in the net. You've got a couple caps now. You kind of broke the ice there. I just want to ask you quite simply, what does it mean for you as what are you, 23? I mean, you look like you're 18 still, man, but you're a young guy with a lot of runway in front of you. What does it mean to play for your country?
it's the biggest honor that I could ever ask for. The biggest honor, I think, in sports, right? You're not just playing for yourself. You're playing for everyone, not just your family or just a town. It's a whole country. So it's a dream come true every time you kind of get the phone call or get the email that you're going to a camp or you're going to a tournament, right? And it gives me chills, and kind of keeps me on my toes a little bit to just be like, wow, like this is actually happening. And but it's always also a good reminder, like when I work day in and day out, I'm not just working for myself and for Columbus, but I'm also working for the country as well, because that's where I want to be and that's who I want to represent.
Wow.
And so I think it's more so than just when I train every day. It's more so than just playing for myself and trying to get better for myself. It's obviously trying to get better for the best of my ability and the best for my career, but at the same time wanting to be the best for the country as well.
Let me ask you just kind of maybe a little bit of the compare and contrast between the experiences, because you've had some games at the U20 level as well as the U23 level, but the first team is a lot different. Speak to Poch. new coach, was hotly contested, for coming in hot, and nobody knew what was going to happen. And all of a sudden, here comes this European powerhouse. When you knew it was him, and when he gave you that first call, what does Poch mean to you as your national team coach? Just start there. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe it really, but like, it's for me. I was a Tottenham fan growing up.
Oh
right?
my God! Why'd you have to go there, man? We were on such a good.
You
run.
could already tell how smart he is.
Oh my!
This is just further evidence of it.
But
And sentimental. And a glutton for punishment. But yeah, go ahead.
Like, when it actually happened, it was like, wow. I've watched this guy's teams for I don't even know how long, right? And now I potentially have the chance to work with them. Was okay, like it was a pinch me moment.
Did you say to him, "Hey, coach, I promise we won't finish in fourth"?
Oh my God.
No, and honestly, kind of getting into the camp, being around him more, you just realize like he kind of has that aura, and the whole staff has that aura about like they mean business, but then at the same time they're the most personable people out there, and they don't have an ego. They're level like with everyone. No, they're not like there's not a hierarchy, and they just want to win, and they want to demand the best out of all of us, and whatever it's going to take, they don't care. They just want to win, and so I think that's for me the coolest part about being around them is they're personable, but once you get across those lines, it's intense, it's demanding, and they demand that we're going to have that mentality in training and games, and you better win.
Wow.
Love it.
Is he bringing the vest back? I mean, what is the national team gear for vest? What kind of can you confirm, or do you know what the numbers are of sales for the vest? Because I mean, he rocks the vest. Does he ever wear anything but the vest?
I love it.
I think it's his trademark, kind of like the T-shirt was for Berhalter.
Or like the cutoff hoodie for Belichick?
Belichick.
I mean, the dude is always in a vest. All right, Go ahead.
Hey, so Patrick, more questions about the team, kind of with Poch, with this new approach, and kind of what we've been seeing, we as fans, prior to Poch. Maybe I'll start there. It appeared that our national team was really kind of locked within a 30-man pool, that it was ride or die, and we some successes, some struggles, etc. But it appears Poch is taking a little bit more of maybe an aggressive approach in expanding the pool. This last camp there was a significant amount of MLS players, and there's reasons for that, scheduling and teams and etc. But it feels as if he's kind of taken an approach like, look, if you're good enough, you're going to play. And it doesn't have that asterisk that you must play in Europe, which is what a lot of us felt, with the previous camps. Can you speak to maybe that the optics of that, seeing more MLS players kind of getting integrated and really performing well, and what that means within these camps amongst you guys as far as like fighting to be one of the people to represent your nation, at the World Cup in 2 years' time?
Yeah, I think he said it. I think he said it to the media, but he's told us that it doesn't matter where you play. Like, you just better be playing, or you should be playing, and you need to play, and you need to continue to develop your game. And if you're in form, you're in form. It doesn't matter where at. And he says that MLS has is a quality league. There's quality players, quality teams, and they always say, "Where's the best player in the world play?" In the MLS. So
True.
why not credit the league? That's obviously good enough for him. It can be good enough for anyone. And so I think that mindset of, okay, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I just need to be playing and playing well, and I have a chance. And I think that kind of gave a lot of guys, especially in this last camp, the hope of, okay, if I'm playing well and I'm playing week in and week out, why don't I have a chance? It kind of gives you that hope and that drive to continue, instead of maybe in the past where it was I'm not in Europe, no teams in Europe want me, and so I have no chance.
That's an interesting point you bring up, and I like how you framed that a little bit. And I'm going to kind of piggyback on it a little bit and talk more about the coaching styles of Kalish, Wilfred, now Poch, and just, do you take on a different persona with those different types of coaches or the different types of scenarios, or is it Patrick Schulte all the same all the time? Like, I'm just curious from a mental standpoint, when you walk into, the first day of camp for the crew versus a training camp for the U.S., is there a difference in how you prepare or how you go after it? Or is it just, this is who I am, this is how I play, and they like who I am, and we're going forward? I'm just curious on that front.
I think it's a little bit of both, but more of me being just who I am. Because every coach has different tactics and different philosophies, and I experienced it in the last camp, especially in the game where, Wilfred, when the ball's at my feet, because I feel like that's one of my strong suit. Wilfred's okay, you just stand on it and you draw forward out, and you just make the forward come to you. Where Poch is more, hey, play the center back can play you and then draw. That's how you draw a guy out. So just, I feel like, instances like that where it's, I was myself, and then he'll ask me to do something his way, which, okay, then I just adjust to that way. But for the most part, it's be who I am. And if a coach, makes a suggestion or gives me a coaching point that I feel like can elevate my game, and that's the way he wants to play, then I need to adapt and play that way, because ultimately I want to do whatever I can to keep me on the field.
Was there any, on that same kind of note, was there any goalies that you watched either growing up or even in college or even now in the pros that you really tried to emulate? Or did you kind of develop your own style from the crazy TK coaching? And how would you describe what motivated you to play a certain way or to focus on the feet? That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, honestly, it was TK. A lot of it was TK. He was like years ahead of the game. Personally, he would always send clips of Neuer, and Ter Stegen, and just be like, obviously this is where we need to be. Obviously, Neuer's more crazy coming out of his box, flying headers, doing Cruyff turns, but TK's like, this is where we need to be, and then we can taper off. But if we can do this, then other things will become easy. So when I was really young, it was watching a lot of Ter Stegen and Neuer, just because that's what TK would send me clips, and then so that's who I would go watch. But then when I got to Columbus and started working with Wilfred, it was a lot of Onana at Inter. When he was at Inter Milan, and the way he played and out of the back, and how high he was, and the way he would, find lines and break lines with his passing. So then there was a lot of that, and obviously just I watch Ederson a lot, just lefty to lefty, and watch the passes he would pick. But then when I started working with this coaching staff, with the national team, Poch and his staff, they opened my eye to a completely new way of goalkeeping as well. And so then I started, watching Lloris, because they worked with Lloris for a while. So now I'll watch, the way he plays and deeper on his line when shots are coming, and just his positioning for through balls and shots. So just honestly, they're not one goalkeeper that I've, trying to emulate, but I feel like that's been the stage of the goalkeepers I've studied throughout my career, and in that order.
That's phenomenal. And for me, that's the most exciting part of me watching you and being a fan, with the whole St. Louis start and where you're at now in our men's game. Because for me, at our top level, some of our top goalies, when you say playing with your feet is a strong suit, that's what we need, and I'm excited to see how you evolve and hopefully take that position by stranglehold. I'd like to ask you about rivalries. We talk on this show a lot about rivalries. And I think you guys in our top domestic league in the MLS, the hell is real rivalry between you guys and Pat and Wilford and Pat, and then just what you guys got going on there and how successful you guys have been in the conferences. Talk about that game and what do rivalries mean to you?
Yeah, I think obviously there's no better game than a rivalry game, obviously. And no matter when I was in college, when I was in high school, it didn't really matter. Like, those are the games you get up for. Those are the games.
Francis Howell North?
No. It was in Wall West.
West, okay.
It wasn't a close game, but I think we did a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah, I got you.
Rivalry, right? But no, like those are the games you kind of get up for, and the fans. I think my first year experience it. The fans, like, they definitely get into it more. I think the cities. A lot of us aren't from Columbus, so the people that live in Columbus, it's just like, I would say it's like us to Chicago or Kansas City for myself. Like, you don't like those cities. Now, friends that live there and stuff, but when it comes to sports, you don't like them, right? So it was more so like, wow, the fans are like really kind of pushing this forward, the rivalry. And then once we played them in the Eastern Conference Final, then I was like, this is a rivalry. Like, two successful teams, both really close, and then the cities don't like each other. Like, that's when I really felt it. But the first two games, it was like you feel it because of the fans. But I think it's until you have these close matches and you're both fighting for a top of the table, that's when like it really takes off to a whole nother.
So let me ask you a follow up on that. Now, having lived in Columbus here, going on 3 years plus, is the Crew FC Cincy rivalry? How does that compare to the Buckeyes versus the Wolverines?
It's not even close. Like, going on for so long, right? Like that. I mean, this town shuts down, and as it should, right? Like, they both hate each other that much, and that's why you go to those schools, right? To beat the Michigans and to beat Ohio State if you go to Michigan. But it's up there. Like, I mean, there's my brother. He came up there and he's like, I'm coming to every Cincinnati Columbus game.
Yeah, it's a real gem for our game.
Yeah, because you feel it, and you're in, and when you win at the opposing, away on the road, you can hear a pin drop. It's awesome.
Are you gonna plant a flag on their midline at the end of the game next
Ohio
year?
anymore or something? The governor said.
Yeah, it's a law. You can't do that in Ohio anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, let's look out into the future now, because you're 23. You're about to turn 24 here in a little bit. Goalies historically, those that continue to work hard, stay fit, stay healthy, all that stuff, they can be in the game a long time. U.S. goalkeepers have proven that, like no others. And now you're part of that club. And at a young age, you could be playing for another 10, 15 plus years. Just assuming drive, determination, etc.
Health, luck,
exactly.
All that stuff.
So here's my question for you: what's your goal, man? Like, you've accomplished so much at such a young age, but in the terms of, like, if you think of the potential of 15 more years, and then you go backwards 15 years, it's not even close. What do you want to do moving forward? What would be successful experiences moving forward for you as a keeper, as a professional keeper?
And why is it the World Cup?
Yeah. Yeah, don't screw that up for us. We got a lot riding on that one.
Honestly, it's cliche and very short, but to play and win. Like, yeah. I feel like that's what I've grown up with, and that's kind of been my goals of, I don't really care where I go. I don't really care what I do. I just want to play and I want to win. And so hopefully I can do that I'll give my guy Evan Bush a shout out. He's he's been a mentor of mine here in Columbus, and I think he's going to be 39, still playing, still super fit, and he could probably be playing for another 3 years, like easily, if he continues the way he is, takes care of his body. Like that's what I want to. I want to be like him, and I want to be as successful as a guy like Darlington Nagbe. Like if I can do both those things, I'll be over the moon and super happy with my career.
Wow. So, and for me, mine's a little off soccer. My home run question is, JB had mentioned you're in Columbus.
You don't ask him himself.
Yeah. the 3 years in Columbus, you lived here in St. Louis your whole life. Whether it's, you said take care of your body, so it's probably not Bud Select brewed for the Lou, or the square beyond. What do you miss that you can't just go run out and grab in 20 minutes from living in St. Louis? Like, what do you miss the most about St. Louis on the culinary side?
Everything. Obviously, sometimes a nice Bud Select.
Right.
But I mean, Cyberg's, Obie Clark's.
Yeah.
Like the hometown restaurants, like for me, are the big ones. Toasted Rabs, like those things are just. Every time I come home, it's like I'll be home for 3 days, and it's like I got to go here, here, and here. And that's just how my mom already knows. Every time she's like, all right, where are we going for dinner? Where are we going for lunch? What are we doing today? And I think hometown, like Old Hickory golf course.
Oh yeah,
like love playing there.
Who put those railroad ties in that course? Man, I mean that's the hardest course in the world with those railroad ties.
It's not friendly to me, but every time, and I feel like I have to play around when the weather's nice. I have to come home and at least play once, and then obviously just for me, it's just being around family. That's the part I miss the most.
Let me ask a follow-up, kind of a homer question, because in a weird way, like this is so lame. We're just a bunch of nerd dads that jump on a mic and talk to incredible guests like yourself, but we're just having fun. And through this, as we travel around, we get these like feedback about St. Louis and your guests and everything else, and it's just we know it exists, the lure of St. Louis soccer and our alum. I want to ask you, as a St. Louisan who is a pro, who is on the national team, you're running around in circles that are filled with, the best of the best, domestically and even internationally. What does it mean to you to be a St. Louis guy? And does that conversation ever come up? And I want to frame it like, for example, when we had Tab Ramos on the show, we didn't, unprovoked, he flat out said, when my family was bringing us to St. Louis, it was a choice of two cities. It was that we were either going to Jersey or we're going to go to St. Louis. Those are the kind of stories that we hear, and it's like, man, you feel pride. Do you get that experience being Patrick Schulte, not Patrick Schulte, the Columbus keeper, not Patrick Schulte, the national team keeper, but Patrick Schulte, the goalie that's also from St. Louis?
Yeah, I think just because that's where that's where I grew up. Like, I think that's the biggest one for me. And anywhere I go, my girlfriend always makes fun of me that I always know somewhere everywhere. it always, for the most part, resorts back to St. Louis. And I think that's, the coolest thing for us is, you always have connections somehow. The kit man for the national team was, I think, college roommates but really good friends with, like, AJ Cochran from St. Louis. He's like, I could go to St. Louis all the time. And it's like, well, how do I run into you here, right? Like, from St. Louis. And then just moments where it's like might have been my first or second national team camp with the senior team. And I'm sitting at a table with Sargent and Tim Ream. And just like, we're talking St. Louis, and they started calling it Panera. And we were like, they don't know. Like,
they don't know.
They don't know.
Like, stuff like that. That's like, you just like feel it. And there's always that connection and that camaraderie. And I feel like it's always a topic of conversation one way or another.
Well, Patrick, I'm excited for one particular date this spring, and that's April 13th. And if you guys don't know, that is when Columbus Crew travels here.
Oh, we're
to what are we now? Energizer Park.
Bunny Park.
Still City Park.
The Bunny Park.
It's also still Riverport. But so where are we going to find you in those three places? Is it going to be Obie Clark's? And then what's your T-Rav place? And we're just going to stalk you for those couple days that you're here.
And it's got to be Gito's for the Ravs, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm curious.
Honestly, just because I'm from St. Charles, like a Peroni's or something.
Oh, there we go.
All
right.
Let's go.
That's where I would probably go. But I'm gonna be at my house if I can. I'm gonna go home, get a home cooked meal from my mom, because we will come in the night before, and I'll be at my house for however long I can be there until I gotta be back at the team hotel.
So let me ask specifically about that question. Just a quick follow up. Like when you saw the schedule come out in St. Louis, springtime, the new stadium, et cetera. Did you get a little bit of butterflies, or was it like, oh man, I'm going home? Is it exciting? Is it like, oh shit, I hope I shut them out, but I hope I don't shut them out. Like, how's that? Where's your head at on that game against your hometown lovers?
No, first I hope I have the game of my life. But I'll have 8-9 saves, whatever it is. I played the best game of my life. But no, I'm obviously super pumped. Like the last 3 years, it's I just want to play in the stadium. I want to see the stadium. I never played or never been to it until the last November national team camp where we played there. And so I just was like, I want to experience, the whole city vibe, the whole fans, the stadium.
It's going to be interesting, man, because I think our St. Louis crowd will cheer for you.
I will.
Before the game, and then they won't.
I'm going to cheer for him the whole game.
Your family might, and the 30-plus people that come with, Schulte
I can't wait
jerseys.
to see, the Schulte, like when Pat came back to home, one of our other famous guys, they had like Noonan's Army, like pink shirts throughout. I think it was pink shirts during the Storm game.
That's awesome.
What are you guys like? What's your family? I mean, they got to do something to distinguish themselves, like yellow tank tops or something.
They'll do something. I mean, they've already have done it to me just when we'll have one last family dinner, like extended family and everything, and they'll come with bright yellow Schulte shirts. I saw you 2 days ago. I'm leaving. I'm gonna see you guys again in the year. And they'll just do it just to mess with me and to make me feel uncomfortable because we're out at a restaurant and and they'll just take it off and it's just bright yellow.
Dude, they should all show up in Charlie Brown.
That's what I was thinking.
That would be so awesome, like the Charlie Brown Brigade.
That'd be funny.
Hey Patrick, this has been an absolute blast. We're gonna let you get back to your real life here because you've had enough of us jokers pinging you. So if you don't mind holding on here in a second, but thank you for joining us, gentlemen. I'm assuming you want to say your farewells as well here.
Yeah, Patrick, it's been great to meet you. Like I said, I've been following you for a long time, and just looking forward to seeing what you're going to do, except for on April 13th. So.
No, I want to trade him straight up for Berkey.
Well, yeah, I would take that.
There we
go.
100%.
That's my parting shot.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be sure to send this episode. I'll geotag the Columbus area so all the fans that are like, oh my God, is he going to throw the big one? So we'll cut straight to, hey, he's on your side, guys. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to catch you after this. But for those of you listening, appreciate all the support. Like, review, follow, share. We're out here. Dana Michael Anderson Bottles. Go check that out on Spotify too. I would appreciate that. Zach, Jared, well done. You know what? Solid A minuses today.
Hey,
I'm tossing the grades up a little bit. 2025. I'm pushing your GPAs up.
Love it.
All right, we're out of here.
Later.